right, go.
All right, like to open the meeting on May 20th, 2021, 5:10. Rangeland Park Commission, start off with pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All
I
right,
don't remember.
I know, that was the declaration of a quorum. Yes, we have a quorum.
Yes. Oh, it's, yeah.
Disclose any conflicts of interest. I don't have any. Do you guys? Okay. Adjustments to the agenda.
None.
Don't see any public. Review of minutes from the 19th of November. That has to be a typo.
We have met since, yes, we have. Yes, we've done Zooms. Yes, we have. We've done Zooms.
I have no idea.
I was gonna say, then you've lost some notes.
I
We have
know.
met since then.
All right.
At least once.
Well, this is pretty.
Let me see.
Saddleback Mountain Kiosk.
The last written notes I have of this.
We are at least one. Unless.
Anyway, those aren't approved yet, so.
All right, so. Would you like to review those now?
I already did.
You did, that's exactly correct answer right there. So,
I make
motion to
one.
approve the minutes of the November 19th. Motion by Lindsay, I'll second it, all in favor. Okay, down to correspondence. Rangeley Health and Wellness.
So they want to host the Stars and Stripe run, but wasn't given to me the email or the event permit. I haven't seen a permit yet, so hopefully they'll know one more meeting. Hopefully they get it to us. We'll go that way. Yeah.
When is it?
July 4th.
Oh, okay.
So,
Because aren't they doing them this weekend?
right, there's a lot more. The other things are, obviously, things are loosening up. We're getting a lot more questions, a lot more activity, or
Right.
suggested activity or requested activity, so we'll start seeing a permits probably.
Nice.
Okay, park use permits, the Rangeley Rookabai.
Oh, that's good.
That one for sure.
Yeah.
Right? I had it all separated for you, so.
You got it right there. So,
love
any questions as far as police or fire are concerned?
What is it? I'll spell it. R.
RUKIBI. The run,
Right?
kayak, and bike.
It's a K-A. Okay.
That's good.
RUKABI.
K.
I don't know. I said it.
All right. Okay, 3.5 mile bike, 1.5 mile kayak, 3.5 mile run. So no problems with anybody? Police, fire, everything's all set? Good.
What was the date for it?
The date for it is coming right up here, isn't it?
Next Sunday.
Yes, 29th.
Yeah, because it's more, they do it more on the weekend, right? And what's the use in the park at all, really? No.
Start and finish. You use a boat launch.
All right, that takes care of that. Make a motion to approve the park permit for the Rangeley Rookabai. Made by Shell, I'll second it. Any questions? All in favor? So moved. And Joan Frost Memorial Arts and Crafts Show.
So that has to have two signatures, one based on the permit and one on the vendor's license.
Is this for certificate of liability too?
That's all, yeah, it should be.
Vendor's license. Okay, so this is everything right?
Right.
All right.
Art shows. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Lakeside Park, the art show, that's on the 4th too, I think? The third. Okay, and this was the one they did the first time last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So part of the problem last year we had ran into was the idea of this is the for-profit thing, so we have to understand this. Now, it went from approval, they want to do it in Caustic, was in Rangeley, there's some conflict there, so we have to understand how they want to do this.
So they are technically for profit.
Their vendors are for-profit.
But they're coming in under under the RFA, yeah, which is a nonprofit organization.
Does any
They're
of the
putting it
money
on.
go to the RFA? Their table space.
The table space and stuff, it goes through, I mean, the RFA is hosting the event, so, and I think we,
And it's a fundraiser for the RFA.
and we've discussed this before, I have no problem with stuff like
Yeah.
this. far as I'm
Tables in the
concerned.
park.
Because they're gonna get final approval from the selectmen anyway,
Okay.
Yeah,
which I hate to, not trying to be ignorant, but,
Yeah.
no, yeah, that's, yeah,
That's
chain of
fine.
command, that's fine.
But, so it is a fundraiser for the RFA, which is a nonprofit. I
Right.
mean, you almost have to have, sometimes you have to have a for-profit vendor to make
And we've discussed
money
it,
for a
yeah.
nonprofit.
Well,
mean-
yeah,
We've discussed it before, that something in their mind, there's somebody 5 times separate that's gonna make money off this, no matter what. So,
at some point, right?
Yeah.
Not that we want carnival atmosphere.
Correct.
That's fine.
And so, based on the, there shouldn't be any guidelines that are still in place at that point, so we don't have to worry about any of the CBC, because that
Gotcha.
will be 100%. And
Perfect.
so then we make that. motion.
So, yes, Shell makes motion, I'll second that. To any questions? None, approve, all in favor? Sorry, there you go, all right. New business, well, Mark Borger stopped me on the street for the logging festival. He didn't turn anything in. He wanted,
They may have, but nothing for the park.
it was the log rolling event that they have in the park that they did last year. And the Little Miss Wood Chip, which is a backup alternative to the park, because they're hoping to do it in the field by the originally end.
We'll have, if you write that, down, we'll have one more meeting anyway.
Yeah, he wanted me to.
That
bring
may have
it
got
up.
turned in already, but I don't. I have to look.
He was all
Yeah,
shook up.
put
I
it in
said,
the
I said, I'll mention
Yeah,
it.
for me to look for it.
Yeah,
Maybe
So,
it's-
all right.
hold on, let me just put
I'm
it
on
on.
record as mentioning it. It's been passed, the torch has been passed.
Wow.
Not to me.
Logging Festival.
Not yet.
I have numbers for you too for the other sewer stuff.
Excellent. You are on it.
I just haven't brought back to you because I'm just ignoring you because I got a T-shirt. I'm not even autographed.
I'll bring it short for you next meeting.
Oh my God.
New business, 4th of July fireworks, that was fun.
All right, so this is beyond, but to regular discussion anyway. Every year we get an Alice contract for the fireworks. The idea was to make sure with the way the pandemic was running, you guys were comfortable, how you guys wanted to move forward with it. It's since been signed, so we're moving forward with the 4th of July, obviously, we know now, especially
Right.
lately, that the restrictions are being opened anyway, so we're gonna move forward with the event. This year, I'm excited to tell everybody that, this is, I already heard, but we have a donor this year that's gonna match, I think, up to $6,000. So we should have a pretty substantial show,
Wow.
from our two delay, this year's budget, last year's budget, plus a match, if I'm
Wow.
correct. If nothing else, we'll
It's
have.
gonna be like 4 hours long.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my
You run out of
God.
midnight,
Lock up your
right?
dogs.
So it should be a pretty large display.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that's been signed. If you guys want to make kind of motion that you guys support it,
Yeah.
that's up to you, but I mean,
That's
there's nothing to sign, so.
And
All
Zoe
right,
support.
I'll second that the
Yep.
board supports the,
4th of July.
yeah, 4th of July and the match of fireworks. Thank you,
That's
whoever you are.
Yeah.
Veterans Monument Trust.
Right, so I know this is kind of those areas that I'm not really sure who actually oversees it, whether it's park or whatever else. Part of this is I have a lot of interest in the Veterans Monument, so that the gentleman that came to town has a lot of huge respect for Alderman, as a veteran himself, has a ton of respect for veterans and memorializing those individuals. So our veteran monument needs to be brought up to date, one, with new names, two, so I'm trying to figure out the whole process of what the Rangeley's rules were for allowance on the monument, which there's some of them are born here, graduated here, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm trying to find out, that's not relevant to this. The biggest part is right now, the shrubs are an eyesore, the ones on the sides of this thing. I had cemetery commission meeting earlier, just before this meeting. One idea, just a few ideas I haven't run by anybody. I have some drone footage, drone images I'm gonna mock up, but I want to pull the side shrubs out and something like a split rail fence maybe initially. Part of me, talking with Chip, if I have enough fence and cemetery left, I like to think some of that cemetery fence, maybe a little more appropriate, more sturdy, and just, have the shrub, a pillar of some sort, maybe like a granite pillar, cemetery fence, something in that range, something new in that, bring that to life. Now, again, there used to be a committee that Everett was on, and Jim Stone and Frenchie and Patricia Quinn. Unfortunately, the Legion does not operate active. They're active, but they don't have an active committee. So I need to figure out how I'm going to go about with this, but kind of to keep you guys updated along with how I perceive this, knowing that there's been some change there. If it's right now, it's disrespected how it was. That's the biggest thing.
All right.
So then I'm also looking for, I think Monica Lyle and this, I can't remember his name right now, so the gentleman member of the Friday committee, as we look at this veterans to have that
Oh, good.
Nice.
brought back. Okay,
Request a metal detect, that's a new one.
so this is a new one, and I can tell you that Mr. Gamache has been a very, very persistent, but very respectable man. He would like to go park metal detect. Part of me doesn't have a problem with it. There's, I printed it out, I sent an email, there are state park rules, we're not a state park, obviously. We have town park rules, and there is code of ethics for metal detectors. Now, that's a trust, it doesn't hold down liable or anything. Some places you have to have a permit, some places you don't, usually has nothing written, so it's kind of hard to set precedents. Me, what I like to do, if anything, my initial thought was, and maybe I'm too far on this, is I don't mind the knick-knacky stuff, but I know Rangeley has a lot of heritage down there, so like I know for a fact, I found one of those 4 prop impellers down there when I was mowing one time, dug it up, and it broke unfortunately, but old steamboat parts could be cool for a museum. There's a time capsule down there, no one's ever found. Yeah, so my thought is if you find that, that should be, he stated that he would give back stuff of value or,
Yeah, sure.
or of, you know,
Historical.
historical.
But that's just like on the honor system.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not against giving this permission for myself, it's just a matter of having that honor system and that, the idea of if you find a time, I think something that will be specific, so if you find a time capsule, that comes back to that class of whatever. And then obviously, I would say discretionary from there, if you find, I don't know what you're gonna find, but is there a point where we have to be like, we'd like to have that back, without having to pay anybody or whatever? And is there a finders keepers clause in that code of ethics? So we have, you know,
Is that code of ethics is from where? Like just due
this is
process?
off the internet. This is one that he referenced, I believe.
Code of ethics as pertaining to metal detecting?
Right, so it's that, it's, basically, summary of it is, do not trespass, always respect private property. Is it advisable to get permission in writing, to get agreement in writing first to avoid disputes? Never do anything that might contaminate wells, creeks, water supplies. Respect the country code, leave gates as they're found, do not damage crops, never deliberately disturb wild or domestic animals, never litter, always gather, collect trash, leave as little sign of passing as possible, always use correct digging or probing equipment to make least intrusion of marks, always fill in your holes, including plowed fields and beaches, never throw trash fine back in the hole, report discovery of any items of possible significant historical value or local historical to a museum in accordance with the latest legislation in your area, which we don't really have, but again, I think a list, I think a letter to go away, and then never go metal detecting around archaeological monuments. That's kind of the basic of code of ethics. If you look at the state of Maine, for state parks and historic sites, which Ramsey Park doesn't really fall into, but they say use of metal detectors at historic sites is prohibited, and metal detectors are allowed in other areas only by written permission or obtained written permission.
Well, I think
Our rules specifically don't mention anything about metal detectors.
I mean, I like the idea of like a written code of ethics and like you have the written permission, you agree that you would do it, especially for somebody that's gonna be around those areas. But I mean, what are you gonna do about the person who just goes down and does it and doesn't ask?
Right,
Like,
I've
you
seen
can't
people over the
control
years
that.
just down there doing it. Did he come to us just out of the blue?
He came to me on, he loves Rangeley, he's an older gentleman that loves Rangeley, and actually came to me over email, and wanted to get permission first. He's been asking me for a couple months now.
Yeah, so he appears to be like a guy that like
I think
really
he's legit.
is doing,
It's hard.
you know, he's,
He's
yeah,
like-
yeah, exactly, and.
I think I would,
common
yeah,
courtesy.
I'd be okay with it. I think as long as we have a written permission to kind of state one of these code of ethics, the idea of historical value of anything or local. And I think moving forward with our signage, that we kind of make that a rule for the park, that written permission to metal detector. Permission for metal detectors obtained prior to, so we know, we can try to get away from past practice and all whatever moving forward. But it's up to you guys. You are the commission. I'm indifferent on it, but
I mean, it's the
nothing
whole-
says really that it can't.
See, the difference of doing it in like on a beach or whatever is like, you dig up the sand, you like put it down. Like if they dig this up, you know, it's like in the park, we put all this money into the landscaping and all of that. And yes, they have to fill their holes and whatnot, but who's to say they're not gonna like tear it up and then it's gonna be an eyesore? Like that's my only thing is when they don't put care of it properly, what are we?
Yeah.
What,
I think they just spell it out. Just the idea of this is your one pager, this is your permission, this is.
But if they dig it up and they dig up the grass and like, and the grass doesn't grow back there, like, that's not their fault, you're gonna have to plant new grass there. Like, that's what I'm
If they
saying.
pull a plug correctly, they should be able to pull sod off. Yeah, I'm not saying, I know.
That's all, I'm just saying, we put a lot of money into the park recently.
We should look into it a little bit more, put it on next.
It'd be interesting to see what other, like, areas similar to us do in, like, in that regard. But I don't know who you would check with.
So as far as the state of Maine is concerned, they have the code of ethics. That
This
the
is-
state
this
or is
is-
that federal,
This is like a national
national thing?
thing.
So does the state of Maine have a?
I'm gonna have to look. I tried to look some more, but he referenced his original email. All right. All right, so his original message from March 22nd, where he said, "Good morning, Rangeley is one of my favorite places to visit. I'm looking into in the town ordinances and parks rules and regulations. I did not see any prohibiting material metal detected. Some towns allow it, some don't, and some only prohibit it in specific parks. I wanted to check first. Also, I follow the metal detectors code and always remove all trash and fill in all grass plots clean."
So it's not prohibited, so really he could do it.
He can, and he is he's a lawyer. So he knows something. I'm not sure what a lawyer of, but Ainsworth, Allen, and Bradford.
I feel like if we're going to allow it, then it needs to be like that. If we're gonna officially say yes, then they need to like sign a written thing that says, I agree that I will X, Y, and Z.
Almost like obtaining a permit, right?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean,
Gotta have some
because
skin.
technically, they could be making a profit on whatever they find. I don't know, I don't really know, I just would hate to see somebody down there doing metal detecting, just digging stuff up while people are trying to
Yeah.
enjoy the park. I am not sure that I love that.
And true, just contact like Old Orchard Beach, or, you know, places where people do, like, I can imagine there's probably a lot of people down there, but they just might allow it, I don't know.
I can do whatever I want. I'll do whatever.
I just think I feel like we'd be opening it up to so much interpretation if we agree to. That's.
Definitely a great area, yeah. You wanna reach out to a couple other towns, like resort towns, and see
I can, yeah,
just what the heck?
My worry is that because we say it can't happen, then it'll happen anyway.
Well, God, no, yeah, you've seen people down there, right, over
Yeah,
the years doing it, so, I mean, at least he's
So,
respectful. of
yeah, I
that.
know, that's something we start talking about, you know, coming up with either a hard no and have it written, or if you do this, you need to have a permit and stuff, so it's probably worth definitely talking about more.
check.
I think we like do a lot more research, table it for this meeting and then talk to the design. They just, yes, understand this is not something we've dealt with before and we wanna look into it.
Fair enough.
I'm not comfortable right now saying one way or the other, I don't think.
All
Are
right,
you and like you agree with that?
I agree with that.
So
I'm
table.
Definitely not ready to go one way or the other. I can see both sides of it,
Uh-huh,
but
mhm. Table until next meeting. Needs to do more research.
signage, any updates?
No, you showed us. Oh, no, that's not
Oh,
signage.
yeah, I have nothing on the signage, to me, it's gotta. I need to get something, we're working on getting some other signage mocked up, like cemetery project signs and stuff like that, so part of that I'll also send an image. Make it something, basic rule summary, and then I'll get some kind of imagery to put on that.
All right, and park equipment, any updates?
I sent you guys email should be, should have
It was in.
quite a few attachments of some new proposed playground equipment. I'd like to get one or two more, and then do a survey with the kids, get bits and pieces here and there and understand. So a lot of it has to do, a lot of the new stuff is it's adaptive, so you have the ability for multiple age range, and it allows the Ninja obstacle course type thing integrated with the standard playground equipment. And then obviously we're still looking at an element book on the calisthenics portion, yeah, calisthenics, or stretching area, stuff like that.
So can I just throw something out? So you know that the fitness center is doing supposedly a playground or something of some sort up behind the health center. That's why they're clearing all of that up there. So I was talking to Joanne Dixon a little bit and said that Park Commission was gonna be hopefully choosing some of ours soon too. And but she did also suggest that Saddleback has been looking for ways to invest into the community with certain things. And so this may be something, if they were approached, that they, you know, if they got recognized for it, had a plaque, had something in the town park, that maybe they would possibly want to make a donation if we reached out to Andy Shepherd.
It's a great resource. I will talk to Andy. Write that down for me.
Yep.
Please.
All right, any other new business, continuing business? Any business?
That's all I got right now. That's all I got right now.
Next meeting, June 17th, hard to believe.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, sorry. You said you need to get up by 5:30.
It's,
5:31.
I'm going next to
Okay.
work, so.
So, make a motion to adjourn at 5:31. Second, all in favor? All right, it's a wrap.
Perfect. When is the next meeting, did you say?
June 17th, can you believe it?
No.
Me neither.